Hello and welcome everybody to another episode of Books and Bytes.
Excited to be here.
Today, we are diving into Competition and Entrepreneurship by Israel Kirzner.
Yeah,
I'm really excited to explore this book with you.
absolutely.
It's a classic in the world of economics.
Mm-hmm.
And, when I first picked it up, I thought it was going to be maybe a little bit dry,
Yeah,
a little bit dense,
I could see that.
but it totally blew me away. Kirzner has this really incredible way of looking at markets.
Yeah, it's true.
It really just flips the script on everything that you thought you knew about how the economy works.
Yeah, his insights on entrepreneurship, on competition, on how markets actually work, they're just as relevant today as they were when he was writing decades ago.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
for our listeners who maybe aren't economists, can you give us a quick rundown of the book's main argument?
Absolutely. In a nutshell, Kirzner challenges that traditional economic view of markets as these static systems that reach a state of perfect equilibrium.
Right.
Instead, he presents a much more dynamic view, one where the entrepreneur actually takes center stage.
Okay.
Kirzner argues that it's the entrepreneur with their unique ability to spot what he calls profit opportunities
Okay.
who drives the market process forward.
Profit opportunities. What are those exactly?
Well, think of it this way. Have you ever looked around and thought, there's got to be a better way to do this?
Sure.
Maybe you were struggling to open a jar or wishing there was a faster way to find a parking spot.
Right.
Those aha moments, right, where you see a gap between what is and what could be, that's a profit opportunity in Kirzner's world.
Okay, so it's about spotting those gaps, those unmet needs in the market.
Exactly. And then crucially, doing something about it. It's not enough to just have the idea that entrepreneur is the one who acts on it, who takes that leap of faith and tries to turn their vision into reality.
And that process of spotting and acting on those opportunities,
Mhm.
that's what Kirzner sees as the engine of the market. It's not just about supply and demand curves intersecting neatly on a graph. It's about this constant dynamic process of entrepreneurial discovery and action.
Precisely. Kirzner argues that this entrepreneurial alertness isn't some rare gift bestowed upon a select few. He believes it's present in all of us to some degree. We all have the capacity to look at the world around us, spot those little inefficiencies, and imagine better ways of doing things.
That's actually a really empowering thought.
It is. It's one of the things that makes Kirzner's work so relevant, I think.
Yeah.
But let's get back to those profit opportunities for a second. I want to make sure our listener understands just how central they are to Kirzner's whole argument.
Okay.
He doesn't see them as just random blips in the market. He sees them as the very force that drives the market towards greater efficiency and better outcomes for everyone.
Okay. I'm intrigued. How does that work exactly?
Well, think about it this way. Every time an entrepreneur spots a profit opportunity and acts on it, they're essentially correcting a little inefficiency in the market.
Yeah.
They're bringing supply and demand closer into alignment, but in a way that also creates something new, something that wasn't there before.
Okay. So it's not just about finding a better way to make a buck.
Right.
It's about improving the overall functioning of the market.
Exactly. Take the classic example of the lemonade stand.
Okay.
It might seem like a simple thing,
Sure.
but there's actually a lot of Kirznerian economics at play.
Okay.
The kid who sets up that stand recognizes a profit opportunity. People are hot, they're thirsty, they might be willing to pay for a refreshing drink.
Right. And they're not just reacting to an existing demand. They're actively creating a new market, even if it's just on their little street corner.
Precisely. And here's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
Let's say that lemonade stand is a huge success.
Okay.
What happens next?
Yeah.
Well, other kids in the neighborhood might see that success and think, hey, I could do that too, maybe even better.
Right.
Suddenly you've got competition.
And that competition, spurred by the initial entrepreneur's alertness, that's what drives further innovation and improvement. Maybe someone starts offering cookies with their lemonade, or someone else finds a way to make their lemonade colder and more refreshing.
Exactly. It's a beautiful example of how individual entrepreneurs, each pursuing their own self-interest, end up creating a more diverse, efficient, and ultimately more satisfying experience for everyone involved.
Okay, that makes sense on a small scale, but how does this play out in the wider market? With bigger businesses and more complex products?
It's the same principle, just amplified. Think about the tech industry, for example. Every new gadget, Every innovative app, it's the result of entrepreneurs spotting profit opportunities, ways to make our lives easier, more connected, or even just more fun.
And those innovations, even if they start small,
Yeah.
they can have this ripple effect throughout the entire economy.
Absolutely. Think about the invention of the smartphone. It
Right.
wasn't just a cool new gadget. It created a whole new ecosystem of apps, services, accessories. It revolutionized the way we communicate, consume information, even navigate the world.
It's amazing to think that all of that innovation, all that economic activity
Yeah.
can be traced back to this like fundamental human drive to just spot opportunities and make things better.
It's true. And it highlights another important aspect of Kirzner's work, his emphasis on the role of knowledge in the market process.
Okay, how does knowledge fit into all of this?
Well, Kirzner argues that the market isn't just about allocating resources.
Okay.
It's also about discovering and disseminating knowledge. Every time an entrepreneur identifies a profit opportunity, they're essentially uncovering a piece of knowledge that wasn't previously known or acted upon.
So the market is like this giant learning machine.
Exactly. And that learning process is driven by the constant striving of entrepreneurs to outdo each other to find better, more efficient, and more innovative ways of serving the needs of consumers.
So if we really want to understand how markets work, we need to move away from these static models of perfect competition and equilibrium, and instead focus on this dynamic process of entrepreneurial discovery and knowledge creation.
Precisely. And that brings us to one of the most important distinctions in Kirzner's work, the difference between the short run and the long run.
Okay, remind us again what that distinction is all about.
In simple terms, the short run is about reacting to the current state of the market, while the long run is about shaping the future of the market.
Okay.
In the short run, an entrepreneur might capitalize on a temporary shortage or a sudden surge in demand. But in the long run, their success will depend on their ability to anticipate future trends, adapt to changing circumstances, and constantly innovate.
So it's not enough to just be alert to the opportunities that are right in front of you. You also need to have the vision to see what's coming next, what consumers might want tomorrow, even if they don't know it yet themselves.
Exactly. And that's where true entrepreneurial genius lies, in that ability to not just satisfy existing wants, but to create new wants, to shape the very landscape of desire itself. Think about someone like Steve Jobs.
Right.
He didn't just give people what they thought they wanted. He imagined products and experiences that people didn't even know they were missing until they held them in their hands.
That's a powerful example.
It is.
But it also makes me wonder, if entrepreneurs are constantly striving to create new wants, are we at risk of ending up in a world of manufactured desires,
Yeah.
where we're constantly being sold things we don't truly need? That's a question a lot of people grapple with.
Yeah.
Where's that line between fulfilling a genuine need and creating an artificial desire?
Right. It's a complex issue, no doubt.
Yeah.
Kirzner himself acknowledged that entrepreneurship isn't inherently virtuous. Just
Yeah.
like any human endeavor, it can be used for good or for ill.
So how do we tell the difference? How do we encourage the kind of entrepreneurship that benefits society as a whole, rather than just lining the pockets of a select few?
That's where Kirzner's emphasis on competition comes in.
Mhm.
He argued that a truly free and open market where new ideas and businesses can emerge and compete without undue barriers is the best safeguard against the dangers of unchecked entrepreneurial ambition.
So it's competition that keeps things honest.
Exactly.
It ensures that entrepreneurs are ultimately serving the needs of consumers rather than just manipulating them.
Exactly. Think about it this way. In a competitive market, entrepreneurs can't just dictate what consumers want.
Right.
They have to constantly strive to offer something better, cheap, or more appealing than the competition.
Right.
That constant pressure is what drives innovation and prevents any one company or individual from becoming too dominant.
And that's how, in Kirzner's view, this seemingly chaotic process of individual entrepreneurs pursuing their own self-interest can actually lead to a more prosperous and beneficial outcome for society as a whole.
Precisely. It's not that entrepreneurs are necessarily altruistic, though some certainly are. It's that the very nature of competition channels their self-interest in a direction that benefits everyone.
It's like Adam Smith's invisible hand.
Right.
But instead of guiding the market towards some predetermined equilibrium, it's constantly pushing it forward toward greater innovation, efficiency, and choice.
That's a great way to put it. And it's why Kirzner believes so strongly in the importance of limited government intervention in the market.
Okay.
He argued that excessive regulation, even with good intentions, could stifle competition and prevent those vital entrepreneurial discoveries from happening in the first place.
So if we want to encourage the kind of dynamic, innovative economy that Kirzner championed, We need to create an environment where entrepreneurs are free to experiment, to take risks, and yes, even to fail without excessive bureaucratic hurdles.
Exactly, because as Kirzner taught us, it's often in those unexpected discoveries, those moments where an entrepreneur tries something new and sees a gap in the market that no one else noticed, that true progress is made.
This has been a fascinating deep dive.
It has.
Kuzners' book is packed with so many thought-provoking ideas,
It is.
and it's incredible how relevant they still are today.
I completely agree. His work is a reminder that economics isn't just about dry formulas and abstract models. It's about understanding the human element, the role of creativity, innovation, and that restless entrepreneurial spirit that drives us to constantly strive for a better world.
Absolutely. And
Mhm.
on that note, I want to leave our listeners with a final thought from Kirzner himself.
Okay.
He said, "The entrepreneurial element in the market process is kept alive by the very imperfections of the market." So the next time you encounter a problem, a frustration, or even just a minor inconvenience, don't just accept it as a given.
Right.
Ask yourself, what if there's a better way? You might just surprise yourself with what you discover. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into competition and entrepreneurship.